everyone, and welcome back to Project No Buy. Today's video is an outfit video of the first outfits I wore back to work and what it taught me about how I like to use my wardrobe. So I resumed my job. Work started up again in about mid-September for me, and I did start using my Smart Closet app to plan my daily outfits so that I knew what I was going to wear to work in the next days and weeks that followed. And so this video is going to be sharing those outfits as well as what it taught me about my needs from my wardrobe and my preferences, my desires. So I guess let's just get right into the outfits that I wore and the journaling that I did in reflection about these outfits. The first day back was part of an outdoor show, so we were rehearsing outside and it was very hot, and despite being, I guess it was the second week of September, so it was very hot, and I wore a matching set for my first day back. It was my blue striped tube top and pants. I don't know if I've got video clips for you or if it's just going to be images or even screenshots from my calendar app. It just kind of depends what I've had time to do. Regardless, this is what the outfit looked like. Paired that with my Birkenstock sandals, and I did debate wearing my nicer flat sandals, but I was prioritizing things like foot stability and, you know, the flatness of the sandal and the kind of pointedness of the toe. I decided, no, let's just go with the comfy shoes. I don't want to throw my back out when we just started work again, and I would have to walk from the parking garage to the outdoor venue. So played it safe, had my overlayer white sheer top, which is an MVP for me every summer, just because I do like to wear kind of, I don't want to say skimpy, but, you know, tube tops, I guess, are kind of a less conservative option for work, and I do like to have an overlayer that I do tend to keep on unless it gets super hot and take it off, but generally I keep that layer on for work settings and oftentimes social settings, but I do like to have an overlayer option. So that was my outfit for day one, and felt good, no complaints. I love a good matching set, but not in an influencer way. You know, you don't need one if you don't have one. I love a good non-matching set too. I love to pair these things. In fact, I did put away the blue matching shorts for this set because I have black shorts that are more comfortable, and I don't see the need to go through discomfort even in the name of a matching set. So, you know, there we go. Healthy level of love for a matching set. The second day was still outdoors, and so I wore linen pants. Again, just because it's work. Some people do wear shorts to work, and that's totally fine, but my shorts are shorter. So, you know, I would feel more comfortable maybe with like the knee-length shorts. Again, it's not a part of our dress code per se, but just my own personal comfort level. And I wore a tube top again, this one a more form-fitted one, and so I put my Damson Matter vest over the top. And I did have some kind of internal conflicts with this vest once again. And the reason it made it through my summer declutter list was because it is such a functional piece for me. And the social media team, or we actually kind of run our musicians' social media, so we, the viola section, took a little clip. You know, the person in front of me took a clip, and I was actually featured in the video on the musician's channel. I can maybe even share it here. And when I saw that video, I was like, you know what? I do actually like the vest. I like how it looks. I like the oversized nature of it. I know I kind of used to fidget with it a little bit when I wore it, even on camera, I think, because I maybe thought I should get one size down because I like oversized, but maybe it was a little too much. But then again, like, it's comfortable, it's breezy, it's kind of serving the purpose I got it for. And so even though it still gives me second guesses, I think I do still like this garment, and I will certainly keep it for another season. I wore the same sandals, carried the same bag, you know, the same Birkenstocks, even though I once again thought about wearing the other sandals, the nicer ones. It's just, you know, forget about that. My shoe priorities have changed, at least regarding sandals. I don't know why, or maybe I do know why. Maybe talking about it will make it very obvious, but sandals, I guess, are not an area of clothing that I'm excited about. I don't really care what my sandals are. I feel like I can wear these Birkenstocks with almost every outfit, and I do have a pair of more elevated sandals if I need to perform in sandals, right? So I got all my bases covered with 2 pairs, or in reality, I have maybe 3 or 4 pairs right now, but I'm not going to repurchase any sandals. I've already made that a conscious decision. It's not like the boots or sneakers, which I did repurchase when I had to let go of a bunch. And so maybe what I am learning slowly is that boots are kind of a thing for me. as well as, to some lesser degree, colorful sneakers. And so it's kind of like Ramit Sethi talks about with his money dials. You know, everybody's got areas where maybe they're going to have a little bit more, or spend a little bit more money on, or fixate on a little bit more, or value in terms of identity signaling more. And for me, I guess boots and purses are my things, and everything else is kind of like, don't have to care about it. So I don't have to care about my sandals. This outfit also was an exercise in dressing in neutrals, right, black and white, and I did momentarily. So I actually started out with my khaki linen pants. I have 2 pairs of identical pants from Old Navy. They're linen, they're just wide leg, loose, flowy pants. I started with the khaki ones on, and I thought, you know, like this is, I guess, more of an interesting look, maybe more of a tonal look, and eventually changed for the black. And you know, it's just like black and white base, just gonna go with it. And then throw the plaid vest over top for the overlayer purpose, you know, to cover up the, the nip situation and the tube top situation. And I like how it turned out. And I don't know that I actually need to have the khaki pair of pants. Again, I'm gonna hang on to them just because there's no good reason to let go of them right now. But for future reference, you know, pants is another thing that I do feel like less options is more, or less options is actually okay. And incidentally, I do feel like for my style, the Birkenstocks convey a little bit of what I would like to preserve. You know, the ease, the priority on comfort and practicality. You know, like I don't want to totally lose these things, or if I'm losing them, it better be in service of a pair of ridiculous boots and not because of a pair of kind of bland, nicer sandals. All right, the third outfit I have here is from a day that we were partially standing. There was a double service day on Tuesday. And so I planned to wear flat shoes. I wore my red flats, the Viveo ones that I would not repurchase, and one of my ludicrously expensive pairs of jeans, and a long sleeve gray crew neck. So kind of a very simple outfit. I did pair one of my belts with it. I have a red thin belt. I don't know that I needed the belt, but I definitely wanted to try it out because I own it already and just need to explore these options. I was trying to play it safe with the shoe choice, right? Choosing a completely flat sandal. I think that was a little counterintuitive. Pair of flats rather, excuse me, it wasn't a sandal. I do think that the flats were kind of pinching my toes a little bit. Again, these flats were purchased pre-shoe cleanse, and so maybe a half size up would be more comfortable. But even so, the design, I think, is one that goes down at the toes. And so I don't know if it would work to have the next bigger size, if it would solve all the problems. And so maybe these shoes are not the best for standing after all. And they're not yet at the point of being unwearable because they're too small. You know, they're not like the boots in terms of being totally enclosed, but I did take them off occasionally at rehearsal, which maybe not the most professional thing to do, but it was also very discreetly done. You know, it was like under my chair kind of thing when we were sitting. And so I have to think about the shoes a little bit. No issue with the jeans and the shirt, you know, very simple combination. Again, I'm finding more and more that I do like the look of a simple outfit and singing a little bit in the shoes, in the bag. Obviously, I don't wear a bag at work, I just carry it in. And I think that's actually an important point that drove me to the shoe purchases, right? Which this was kind of the time period in September where this was kind of ongoing. And I think what I experienced in these first few days was that the bag being the cool focal point of my outfit doesn't really work when I'm actually working because I don't have that bag near me. And so the shoes kind of become that focal point. Hence having shoes and bags as like the cool factor of my outfit and prioritizing those and having neutrals everywhere else. I think that's kind of my new outfit formula per se. I was actually a little too hot at the beginning of this rehearsal day and then a little too cold later. So a long sleeve shirt may or may not be the best choice for me. It might be more comfortable for me to wear a short sleeve option, but with an overlayer. So that was just another thing that I noted this day. The next day there was only an evening rehearsal. Again, partially standing, but a shorter day overall. And we also spent the earlier part of the day at the pumpkin patch. So I wore my thrifted cowboy boots, my black simple dress. You've seen me wear it on this channel several times. You might not remember it though, because it's so simple. And that's what I wore. I thought I might change shoes for the rehearsal, you know, partially standing, but the cowboy boots were actually comfortable enough that I didn't have to change, and stomping around the pumpkin patch, picking apples in the mud, you know, they were really the perfect shoe for that. So no complaints with that at all. And the outfit transitioned well from a day out with the family to work additionally. So that was cool too. Another perk of keeping it simple. The next day was a home day. So again, just leggings or sweatpants in this case, and a black workout wear shirt. I had my physical therapy appointment and an evening performance where I had to wear concert black. So it's not really anything to show for the next day. And then the Friday that week was the Stardew Valley double rehearsal day, so rehearsal and then performance. Once again, when there's a performance and a rehearsal on the same day, I just tend to wear black. I was so tempted to bring what I call my pink pony club boots. They're ankle boots that are pink and kind of Western style. I was so tempted because I really wanted to wear those. They were new at the time, you know, I'd just gotten them, and I would still consider them new, but I really wanted to wear them. I was tempted to wear them and then bring some black shoes to change into, and then just decided against it because ultimately practicality wins out, and I just showed up in the outfit I was going to wear to the show. And generally I'm okay with not spilling on myself at dinner if I avoid getting soup and stuff like that, so that's not really a concern. Just wore all black. Saturday was the concert that my husband wanted to go to, and so because this was kind of a date night, I wore a black mini dress. You know, the form-fitting one is kind of on my purgatory list. I'm not totally sure about it, but I figured it might be something he would like. Black leather jacket, and finally my pink pony club boots got to make their first debut appearance. And what can I say? I do feel like they fulfill the identity need of that kind of ridiculous shoe that I used to get from the red kind of shiny boots. And maybe the Western flair even adds to this sensation because of my time in Texas, my husband being a Texan, and kind of the added ridiculousness of it. And again, like the Pink Pony Club reference too kind of speaks to my soul a little bit, just because I really love that song and Chappell Roan's music. The Sunday and Monday following, once again, were home days to the extent that I didn't even put outfits in my calendar. I wasn't going anywhere those days. You know, there's no concerts, no performances, no nothing. So I couldn't even tell you exactly what I wore, but it was definitely some version of sweatpants and a sweatshirt, or leggings and a tank top and a sweatshirt, or whatever. And so, you know, utilitarian items, comfy, cozy. I guess the other thing I realized doing this exercise was that for all the talk about elevated loungewear options, that really doesn't matter to me. And even going out to the store, even taking kids to classes, etc., I'm totally happy to be there in leggings and a sweatshirt, possibly elevated with my knee-high boots or a cool sneaker, cool to me, you know. And I feel comfortable and cozy in that. I don't feel the need to coordinate any more than that, especially not in my own home. And in my experience, whenever I've tried a coordinated set or elevated loungewear, you know, like knitwear loungewear, I found that it looks relatively bad pretty quickly. So either it's pilling, or the kind of edges are fraying, or, you know, it's just starting to look a little bit worn. Maybe the colors fade. I think that's what happened with one of my very expensive sweat sets. I got it in black and it started fading, you know, from the first wash. And it was like, hang on a second, I spent hundreds of dollars on this. I think I did talk about it in a video of things I regret though. So there's footage of that on this channel as far as a very expensive sweat set that I bought and it started fading, and I did resell it. So hopefully whoever has it now is happy with it. Obviously I resold it for very cheap compared to the retail price. We all know that clothing is not worth what it's actually retail priced for. But anyway, elevated loungewear, something I don't have to care about anymore and will not be influenced to care about. Respectfully, I push that aside. All right, the next planned outfit I have in my calendar here is one of my, I don't want to say show-stopping dresses, but it's my Ghani striped zebra dress in blue. Again, with just black tights, my knee-high boots, keeping the rest of it neutral, my sky blue bag, I think it's up here somewhere. And this was the first day back in our hall for classical masterwork. So it kind of felt special, kind of felt like a day to make a wild statement in a way. And for me in my workplace, this dress kind of is a wild statement. And so it's fun to kind of step out like this. If I needed an overlayer, my plan was to either have my gray blazer or my dark blue cardigan, which has been in purgatory, but I think has returned to my regular wardrobe rotation as of making these outfit plans, because it's just so functional and practical in my wardrobe needs. So that was a fun and kind of outlandish for my workplace outfit. The next day was another double service day, and I guess just like the double service the week before, I wore my ludicrously expensive jeans. For some reason, on the long work days, it feels nice or comforting to wear the loose pair of jeans that I know it's not going to be fussy, it's not going to fail me, it's not going to demand that I don't eat during the break because they're tight, or like the tights I find, you know, to get a little constricting as the day goes on. And for whatever reason, the jeans are kind of my trusty pants that I can feel professional and polished in, and also a little bit cool due to the shape, and know that I can weather the dinner break and not be fussing with my clothes. I plan to wear a white button down. Again, I planned all these outfits in advance. You'll maybe see pictures of actual wear right here. And my cobalt blue shoes. I also don't generally change handbags day to day. So for this whole week, I planned to just carry my light blue shoulder bag. And in reality, I might switch between whatever shoulder bag is allocated that day and my work tote, you know, the black tote bag, which is always kind of the fail-safe choice when I might have to carry music and things like that. And once again, with the outfit this day, I was kind of exploring that stark contrast look with black and white, or very, very dark blue and white in the case of these jeans, and feeling increasingly comfortable in outfits like this, you know, kind of avoiding the more tonal looks and just leaning into the stark kind of basic contrast that I always kind of used to avoid before because it felt too boring or almost too elevated, you know, too boring and or elevated at the same time. And so that's where I've landed, I guess, you know, not trying to be interesting through my clothing or through individual pieces of my clothing, but through the overall effect. And I guess increasingly observing that the outfit, you are part of the outfit. I am part of the outfit. And it was something I truly didn't consider before. And while I noticed it on other people, you know, I would think this person looks fabulous in this ensemble. You know, it wouldn't be like, oh, that outfit looks good. It's like, this person looks good. I never really applied it to myself in the same way, where it's like, I am part of the outfit. And honestly, on myself, from an outsider view, I do like how I look in basic contrasting pieces. You know, like that's something that I like more when I include myself in the outfit and not think about the outfit in itself. I actually think that I did a video on outfits last fall, and some of those outfits I don't think I would actually wear anymore. And I don't actually know, honestly, that I wore them very much, even as I said that they were some of my favorite outfits last year. You know, they might have been my favorite outfits, but the actual wear, I think, showed a different story. And I'm able to see that more now and just kind of lean into it rather than fight the urge that I naturally have to wear more simple pieces. I think, honestly, a lot of it was all the fashion content I was consuming, and a lot of it being influencer content, and part of that resulting in having to wear the clothes that I had purchased rather than purchasing the clothes that I wanted to wear, or selecting. I don't actually need to purchase anything, but choosing the clothes from my wardrobe that I wanted to wear rather than what the influencers were talking about, what the trends were dictating, what I should try. And as I say this, I know the outfit I planned for the next day was kind of an experiment for me, so I guess I'll jump right into that. The next day I planned to experiment again on wearing my miniskirt to work. And again, the gray blazer was planned for my top layer to match the skirt because I thought maybe this will make this feel work appropriate even with a miniskirt. Again, my dress code isn't really super prescriptive when it's not a performance. So the concert black is very prescriptive, but the work dress codes are not. And so it was kind of an experiment of like, do I actually feel comfortable wearing this miniskirt to work? And if not, it maybe doesn't need to be here because it's a formal skirt in a way. The fabric is formal, the fit is kind of standard, but it's short and it has a little slit. And so it's like, how do I feel in this outfit? And I think, honestly, it's fine. It's maybe not my most comfortable look, and it's maybe a little bit of a fussy outfit for me, but there's still a little bit of a cool factor that I felt wearing it. And although it's not something I would choose for a double rehearsal day, definitely not. And although I still can't tell you whether I will wear the same outfit in the same configuration again, it's not an immediate no. It's not something that I can tell you immediately that I would not wear in the same way again, or would not wear the skirt again, or, you know, I do think having the knee-high boots in black also really helps because I have previously worn a skirt and tights with my knee-high white heeled boots before, and people did comment on how maybe I could go to the club afterwards. Not in a mean way. I think some of these people were saying, you look really cool, you look good, you could go here afterwards. I didn't actually know what the place was. I had just moved to the city, and I think it was meant in a friendly way. At least, that's how I'm going to take it. But I do think having the black version of the boots, which again, I have strayed away from black for a lot of my fashion history because of having to wear it so much for work. But I do actually think that buying a pair of black boots was a smart, and again, we're trying not to buy stuff, so smart or not, but strategically for my wardrobe, I do think it was a smart decision. And I do think that these will get a lot of wear and longevity in my wardrobe. I also kind of thought again about the pieces that I've recently decluttered or put away, and have recently been through kind of my own clothing storage bin. I almost said unit, but it's really just a fabric bin. And in there are things like my striped shirt, the black floral shirt that I used to wear fairly regularly on this channel, and again is a piece that I thought I should wear because I had it, and because influencers spoke so highly of the romantic Doan blouses with their florals and lace that these were people I admired, and these were people that I thought looked great in their clothes and what they wore. And again, me being a part of the outfits was not something I considered. I just wanted to wear the outfit. And so I got these things and wore them and just kind of felt okay. Whereas now in these outfits I plan to wear, I felt varying degrees of really, really great. And I really want to wear things more, like my pink pony club boots. I want to wear those a lot more. I want to wear my ludicrously expensive jeans, I'm excited to wear those more. And then the things like the white button down, the black crew neck shirt, I have one with short sleeves and long sleeves, the gray crew neck t-shirt, just these things that are basic, I'm now excited to wear in a kind of more active way. And that's kind of cool to experience, and also cool to see me being part of the outfit in a way that I've never really felt before. So yeah, I no longer feel obligated to try the next pattern or the next, again, I had a pattern in there in the zebra dress, but again, even for me, that's a little bit of an outlier piece that I wear for a specific effect when I want to, and don't have to feel pressured to reach for. I noticed also in the span of these 3 weeks, so 21 days, I had 11 intentionally planned outfits. So these were all the days that I had to go to work and not the days that I had a concert black performance. And so that's, it's kind of half the time that, half the days that I needed an outfit per se. And I remember when I was a school teacher and worked 5 days a week, so more than half the time, I did kind of feel like I benefited from having more than 5 options for outfits, right? Having maybe 6 or 7 shirts so that I could rotate through, having 6 or 7 pairs of pants or skirts or whatever options so that I could not have to repeat the same kind of pieces every week. Even just 1 or 2 more led to so many different combinations. And now if I extrapolate that, it's even fewer options that I need to have in order to not feel like I'm repeating. And I still have way more than those. In reality, I have even more than I had as a teacher, because I would not feel comfortable wearing informal blouses. Tank tops under blazers was not really something I'd wear to teach at school, but it is very much something I could wear to work at the symphony. So all of my tank tops, tube tops, graphic tees, throw a blazer on, totally good for work now. And so any of the casual items or kind of sleeveless shirts or whatever are still workwear options for me now. So I do feel now that I have such a wealth of choices. And again, I'm not in a rush to declutter these right now. It may naturally kind of happen over time, and the longer that I remain in this job. I might start to feel like somebody else could get more use out of some of my clothes than I'm getting currently, and that is their value as pieces of clothing, right? They deserve to be worn by somebody who's going to enjoy the experience of wearing them. And I'm not saying as well that people should not wear real outfits when they're not at work, right? This is just how I've noticed that I operate and feel most comfortable operating. This is not a you should or I should, or, there's no shoulds here. This is just the reality of how I feel most comfortable interacting with my clothing. There was one day that I didn't have any work that I did wear a different pair of jeans. So not my ludicrously expensive ones, but just a pair of kind of more inexpensive. I thrifted them, so they were positively cheap for me, but, less expensive Levi's jeans. And I did kind of illustrate as well that I probably should keep some kind of in between level pieces for the homeware time. And I've kind of reorganized my Smart Closet app to reflect how I'm using my clothes these days. So I guess on that note, I made a top 15 category for the capsule version of my wardrobe, or a capsule version. It's just something that I'm toying with, that I'm experimenting with. The rest of these items are kind of the heavy hitting pieces in my wardrobe, or at least what I kind of hypothesize to be my heavy hitters. So I can share a screenshot of that here. Again, leaning into the solid colors, leaning into kind of my wardrobe colors with the bright blue, and then also black and white, and not being apologetic about that. And then after that, I have the numbers for each category. So I now have a total of 171 items. And again, this doesn't include pajamas, designated workout wear that doesn't get worn anywhere except for working out, swimwear, or jewelry and accessories. So no belts, no sunglasses, any of that stuff is in my wardrobe app or in my count of 171. So I do still have a lot. I do think I started at almost 300 though. So there's some progress being made slowly, as I think it should be made for me and my own process here. So I have 36 tops, and this includes sleeveless vests, sleeveless shirts, blouses, t-shirts, tank tops, tube tops. I think the most common item I have is the tube top collection here. I have 8 tube tops, I think, and a handful of graphic tees, a handful of other blouses, a handful of sleeveless shirts. I then have 11 sweaters. And again, I'll share screenshots of the categories, but some of these will be in the top 15. So you might not see all 11 here. 2 of them are in the top 15 category, the ones that I anticipate wearing the most. I have 6 pieces of outerwear, so winter coats and lighter jackets and blazers. I have 7 dresses. Again, 3 of these are in my top 15. And the others are kind of more statement-y pieces. I have 3 pairs of jeans, at least in my category of jeans. There are some more in the homeware category. So 2 pairs of ludicrously expensive jeans, one of which is in my top 15. And then the skinny jeans, a relic of the past, or maybe the future if they come back in style. They're also a practical item for me whenever I want to really show off some boots. 7 pairs of pants. So this is 2 pairs of sweatpants, one of which is in my top 15. A pair of dress trousers, the one really sculptural pair of Toby pants, the Japanese design, and then 3 pairs of kind of summer weight pants. So the 2 linens and the 1 pinstripe blue. I have 9 skirts, again, one of which is in my top 15, and then out of the rest of them, 6 of them are mini skirts, and I definitely don't wear these enough to justify keeping them, but they do bring me a certain kind of joy, and some of them do match with some of the tube tops that I have, so they take up so little space that I'm not really motivated to declutter them in an intentional way, although the day may come where I give in to the value of them being worn more than I tend to wear them, so we'll wait and see. There's 1 long denim maxi and 1 kind of white, kind of T-length on me, or mid, is kind of a mini skirt, 1 white skirt. I definitely don't wear skirts that much, but again, for now, there's no benefit really to proactively declutter. 2 pairs of shorts, a denim pair, and a black pull-on kind of elastic waist pair. And then here we get into the categories of kind of overconsumption and or hoarding. And that is my 20 pairs of shoes. And this is not including black or formal shoes, which I have a separate category for formal wear. I'll get to that at the end. And I have 25 handbags. So 17 of these are pull-in, either like small leather good bags or full handbags. And I do actually think that some of these are in my purgatory section. So some of these, you might actually say that I have 27 handbags. The other items in my purgatory are a couple of pairs of pants. So my faux leather pants, my bright blue pants. I just don't think I would choose to wear either of these over my other options, like my black or blue sweatpants. And so they're here in this purgatory section. Those 2 are very much items that I've only worn when I thought I should wear them for rotation purposes. There's a tube dress, a t-shirt, both of those have fruit print on them, a particular graphic tee, and then 2 kind of black form-fitting dresses, 1 short and 1 long, and then 2 of my pull-in bags that are not my favorites to actually wear, but on reflection, I do think I'll probably keep them in terms of like the collection, because again, there's no real advantage for me getting rid of the things that I already own. And so, especially if it can deter future purchasing, I think it's probably better for me to just hang on to these things for now, and eventually when kids in my life get older and actually use purses, they'll have some options that I will be okay with them using, and they'll get to have what is for them a very, very nice handbag if they can prove that they can take care of it. And, or if they're interested. I mean, they may not be interested in having a bag like that. In my homeware extras category, there's a few pairs of shoes. So this is where my Crocs go because they're kind of my home shoe / errands shoe. Indoor slippers, outdoor slippers, various kind of tank top undershirts, some pairs of pants. And then in the formal options is basically all of my non-black performance wear. And so this is where my kind of fancier shoes go. I'm still torn on the heels because I may just not end up wearing those ever again. And that's kind of where the leopard print flats fill that need. So they cover that gap. And because they are a leopard print, they go with whatever the silver or the gold would have gone with. And I know it's a little bit more of a casual look, but that's honestly okay for especially the locale that I'm living in now is not as formal as where I lived when I got both of those pairs of heels. And so it's something that I might end up letting go of. So that is a current recap of my closet and where things are at right now. And also kind of a reflection on how, while my number on paper still feels shockingly high, 45 of those 171 items are either shoes or bags. And I don't know that I'm strongly drawn to decluttering those just for the sake of having a lower number. And so, you know, if you take 125, I guess, is roughly what that leaves for actual physical pieces of clothing. And again, you know, it's kind of muddy because some of the purses and shoes are in other categories, you know, the homeware, the purgatory, the formal wear. So, you know, roughly 125 for my complete wardrobe, I think is okay. Again, I'm not a minimalist. I might want to be a minimalist, but at the same time, I realized that trying to be a minimalist might actually not be serving me right now. You know, might have the possibility to bite me in the butt if I get rid of things just to be a minimalist and then feel that lack of joy from the reduction of options in a category that I do enjoy, even if I don't believe that fashion communicates your identity in a way that should be pursued with all of your being. I do enjoy expressing aspects of my identity through fashion nonetheless. And so still seeking that balance, but trying to do so in a slow and conscious way. And hopefully you had fun seeing some of the outfits that I wore to work, some of my clothing these days, you know, how I'm interacting with my wardrobe. I would love to hear about what outfits you're wearing. I know you can't really share pictures in the comments below. If you could, you know, that'd be fun too. I would love to hear you describe how you're interacting with your wardrobe. And if you're having fun getting dressed, or if that's just not a big part of your life, I'm open to hear all your stories about it. I would love to hear from you. And I guess with that, I will say bye for now. You can let me know if you want to see more of these kind of work outfits recaps, or if you never want to see one again, you can let me know that too. I guess with that, I will really say bye for now and see you in the next one.